Mia, that's a spice meatball. Eh. Just gonna have to pretend that there's words on screen. Oh, fuck that. Okay. Oh, right. Let me move some stuff around. Let's see. Okay. Hide that. And pull this over. Yeah, mommy. Alright. Guess we'll wait till the ad breaks over. Maybe I should have thingy thing that makes it more obvious I'm reading a book, but well, we're just here to do homework, so I'm not gonna homework. I'm not gonna bother much, I guess. Got the up. Impossible. Can't be done. Oh my god, there's gonna be images? Little pictures? Fuck. I don't know, maybe I should get the webcam. Be like, hey, look at this. See, maybe I can try setting something up. Horrible. Wretched. What is that? Tried using funny little. Okay. Got little maps in there and everything. I don't know. Oh, it's that old. If I had nice, one of those silly little twistable webcams, that would be nice. You can't mount like my actual PC webcam on a thing though. Take a look. Yeah, no. It's got like a clamp. Maybe I'll just have to describe it with my words. Horrible. Pedunculus. There are gonna be that many images, perhaps. Cool. Few. There's another map thing. Oh, damn, that's a crusty JPEG. If I ever crusted a JPEG. Maybe I can just do a fucked up. Maybe I can do some fucked up shit where I just take a picture. It's so crusty. Yeah, maybe I'll just do that. I really don't feel like trying to set up a thing for reading paper books. Disgusting. Alright. Let's see. Read the blurb on the back. About the, let's see, this is a book called ANCSA Power Brokers. If you don't know what ANCSA stands for, it's Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. It was a thing. Something. I mean, I guess it's kind of self-evident in the name, but it was like a law passed in the 70s or so that was determining, or what it was, settling ownership of land for Native Alaskans between them and the federal government. Anyway, and it set up some system of shareholder stuff. Yeah. We'll probably explain it in detail in the book. Let me read the back. About the book. I became involved in Alaska Native land claims in October 1966 when I attended the first Alaska Federation Natives meeting, AFN, held in Anchorage, Alaska. The delegates appointed me to represent the unorganized Athabascan villages, and a week later I filed a land claim for over 10 million acres for the villages. Oh my god, uncapitalized? He didn't capitalize the land claim placed a land freeze on lands that were slated to be used for the oil pipeline, which put pressure on the state of Alaska and the federal government to settle a land claim for Alaska Natives. Land claims settlement was drafted and presented to Alaska Natives at a meeting December 18th, 1971. I was a representative of Cook Inlet Native Association, CINA, and I was one of 511 Alaska Natives who voted for Alaska Native Land Claims Settlement. There were 56 delegates from North Slope that voted against ANCSA. The monies and lands awarded in ANCSA divided Native... there's a little library barcode blocking part of it. The monies and lands awarded in ANCSA divided Alaska Natives, and there were battles between regional and village corporations over lands and monies granted in ANCSA. Those who became corporate executives used ANCSA funds to gain power and control, and they spent whatever it took to retain their powers and control. Shareholder rights granted in ANCSA were avoided so those in power could keep their control and domination over their shareholders. Corporate managers controlled elections, paid themselves millions of dollars, and secured amendments that took away shareholder rights provided under ANCSA and federal security laws. If you are against social and moral injustice, this book is a must for you to read. You know, you can tell the author is biased in a certain manner, but, you know, okay. And then there's a little about the author. Born in Flat, Alaska in 1938. And he was one of the people who voted on it. And stuff. Okay. It's got a grizzly bear on the front. And the Alaska Pipeline. Alright. Copyright 2020. Oh, we're going to violate copyright by recording me speaking this book. I'm going to perish for this. Let's get the about the author. He's read the Bible 36 times. All right. Let's see. Okay, this introduction is... It's only a page, I guess I'll read it. Introduction. Alaska Natives were thrust into the corporate world when the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, ANCSA, was signed on December 18th, 1971. Hello, Anne. Open to book. The people that were living in basically a subsistence culture was made into corporate shareholders at the stroke of a pen. Lacking business and corporate experience, Alaska Natives suddenly found themselves in charge of 44 million acres of land and nearly $1 billion. A cash settlement was paid to 13 Native regional corporations. I think we might see some more grammatical oopsies. It was paid to 13 Native regional corporations, but only the 12 Alaska regional corporations shared in land settlement. Failure to include the 13th regional the 13th one is the one for people who are outside of the state. Failure to include the 13th regional corporation in the land settlement cost the 13th regional corporation's shareholders to lose billions of dollars from servers. What if I just skip this? I'm gonna skip him. Natives born after 71 were also excluded from ANCSA benefits. The only way they could become shareholders was with gifting or inheritances. Book inlet Siri. Okay. Let's see. Index. I guess that's the table of contents. Chapter 1, Alaska Native Land Rights. Chapter 2, Self-Determination. Oh, this is actually 300 pages. I lied, it's not 200 pages. Guess I'll die. Probably won't finish this today. Chapter 2, Self-Determination. Chapter 3, Siri, Early Meetings and Investments. Chapter 4, Mountaintops and Glaciers. Chapter 5, Shareholder Expectations. Chapter 6, New Responsibilities. Chapter 7, Land Conveyed. Chapter 8, Siri, Prospers. Chapter 9, Inside Siri. Chapter 10, Unequal Sharing. Chapter 11, Anwar Trade Attempts. Chapter 12, Siri's Control. Chapter 13, Financial Reporting. Chapter 14, Move to Amend ANCSA. Chapter 15, Are ANCSA Corporations Indian Tribes? Chapter 16, ANCSA Amendments. Chapter 17, No Shareholder Protections. Chapter 18, Controlled Elections. Chapter 19, Corporate Power and Control. Chapter 20, Spending Shareholder Money. Chapter 21, Management Compensation. Chapter 22, Siri Political Connections. Chapter 23, Costs for Seeking Justice and Equal Rights. There was another book that I checked out, but that one's like 600 pages, and I don't think I have time to read that. I have some other sources that are less than 100 pages each, possibly only like 50 pages or less, that I collected online that I'm also going to be using. Probably, maybe. I'm gonna get rid of the spinny guys. We'll destroy them. I'm a hater of spinning objects. No. This might be dry. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna take pictures of the things. I'll just describe what it is. Doesn't actually seem like the photos have captions though, which is interesting. Okay, now it does. This exhibit 1. Right. Chapter 1, Alaska Native Land Rights. The Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act was not a gift of land and money to the Alaska Natives. It was a settlement of Aboriginal land rights. Alaska Natives were granted 44 million acres of land and nearly $1 billion for extinguishment of their Aboriginal land rights to all of Alaska. It read in the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, which was ratified by the First Congress of 1789. The utmost good faith shall always be observed toward Indians. Their land and property shall never be taken from them without their consent, and in their property rights and liberty they shall never be invaded or disturbed, unless in just and lawful wars authorized by Congress. But laws founded in justice and humanity shall from time to time be made for preventing wrongs being done to them, and for preserving peace and friendship with them. End quote. Alaska Native Aboriginal land rights were included in the 1867 Treaty of Cession. The Treaty of Cession transferred Alaska to the United States. The treaty stated, the uncivilized tribes will Quote, the uncivilized tribes will be subject to such laws and regulations as the United States may, from time to time, adopt in regard to Aboriginal tribes in that country. This provision made Alaska Natives subject to policies adopted for Aboriginal tribes, but the United States and the future of Alaska Natives will be tied to those of the American Indian. The Organic Act of 1884 included, Indians or other persons in said district shall not be disturbed in the possession of any lands actually in their use or occupation or now claimed by them, but the terms under which such persons may acquire title to such lands is reserved for future legislation by Congress. Yeah, this sure is a whole lot of in the thing of this and that. The thing of this and that. What if I skipped ahead? It would be fucked up if I did that. I'm here. (1959), let's see. Alaska Statehood Act of 1958, 1959 Court of Claims, Limits and Haida, 1966, something, Charter of 25 members. French. I'm a book reading hater. I think they should put less words in books. I think it would be fucked up if I didn't read this book and I just read my smaller sources instead, because I've got like I've got 7 web sources that are like not huge books. A 500-page book with only 8 words in it? Well, that would be a waste of paper and ink. I could fit all that on one page. They would call that a pamphlet. Let's see. I'm a hater book reading. If I skip to the entire first chapter, would that be fucked up? I think if I used the other sources that I was looking at, they would probably have already read this book and got the important stuff out of it for me. He's talking about the history of AFN, Alaska Federation of Natives. Something. Became president and executive director of the Cook Inlet Native Association. Going to sleep already? Well, I need to actually retain something from reading this, so I wouldn't be able to just do text-to-speech, and there's no spark notes on this book because no one cares about Alaska. It's some backwater that there's no PDF of this book. You think there's gonna be a spark notes about it? I don't think so. Pretty sure a ton of the books in the Alaskana section of the UAA library aren't even digitized. I got some crusty ass looking books in there. land on my bill until I gain 44 million acres. AFN, celebrations. ANCSA enacted. ANCSA, we already know about ANCSA. They did the thing, and we all cheered because they turned natives into a corporation or something, and then they started investing into weapons programs like a real corporation. Oh, here's the part where he says the words in Captain Capital letters. President Nixon? Nixon, these nuts? Okay. President Nixon was advised of the vote. The delegates, standing motionless and quiet, heard Nixon say, "I want you to be among the first to know that I have signed the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act." Okay. Like many other delegates, I thought ANCSA would bring land and money to our people, and that it would provide a means to improve the living conditions of a people, basically, that lived in poverty. ANCSA did not provide wealth, land, or improvement in the lifestyles of Alaska Natives. It instead divided Alaska Natives, placed their lands and cultures in jeopardy, and only brought worthwhile wealth and benefit to corporate managers, directors, employees, consultants, and lawyers. Hey, that's a comma, that's not a period. ANCSA was an act of deception, capitalized, designed to assimilate Alaska Natives into the mainstream of American society. In Alaska Natives and the Land, a 1968 Federal Field Committee report, it stated, legislation providing a special role for Native development corporations is drafted toward economic equality for Natives with other Americans and toward their economic integration into the life of the nation. Oh my god, there's going to be so many typos in this. The report went on to say, while Congress did recognize the necessity of the land base to Alaska Native cultural survival, its expectations centered around commercial use of land for improving Native social and economic conditions. Another typo. I think Microsoft Word was really screwing this guy over. There's some more quotes here from House Report number 92-523, accompanying House Resolution 10367. I'll just skip to the end. While some of the remaining 39 million acres may be selected by Natives, because of this assistance use, most of it will be selected for economic potential. Section 2B links, the settlement should be accomplished rapidly without establishing any permanent, racially defined institutions, rights, privileges, or obligations, without creating a reservation system or lengthy wardship or trusteeship, and adding to the categories of property institutions enjoying special tax privileges or to the legalese and then died. 4B. All Aboriginal titles, if any, claims of Aboriginal title, use and occupancy, land, submerged land underneath all water areas, inland and offshore, and including extinguished, all Aboriginal titles, including extinguished. Okay. Alaska Natives were told that federal and state provisions would protect their subsistence lifestyles, but after passage of ANCSA, Alaska Natives had to continually fight for their subsistence rights to live off the land and waters of Alaska. Before ANCSA was enacted, AFN made a strong effort for Natives to file on Indian allotments. The effort got hundreds of Alaska Natives to file on allotments before the Allotment Act was revoked. I should apply you taking notes on this shit, because I'm going to write something. What was that? I was going to write something about what beneficial effects, if any, and then any of, or I was just going to write about how it affects people in modern day or something, Native people. And I need to be able to like remember where these things are and be like, page 42, citation, writing a paper real. Let me open up Doc or something. Word Doc, Microsoft Word, Microsoft, just type in 2007. There you go. Did you say you were gonna go alert and sleep or something? Okay. Maybe I can put this on screen. Yeah. Window capture. Add Non-existent. Windows, Microsoft Word. Oh yeah, I'm behind the screen. There you go. Rename this to some gibberish, so I remember to delete it later. So, yeah, doing homework. So professional streamer. Did now listening via phone, making my way toward the bed zone. Oh, okay. Let's see. We'll put down a bit here. We'll put a note. Our first note will be I'll just say Power Brokers, page 8. Parentheses so I can tell what the thing is of the actual note. Our instructor already said something. He made some vague allusions to the fact that ANCSA is just supposed to assimilate Alaska natives into capitalism or whatever. But he didn't like talk too much about it in the actual like content. Maybe he's not allowed to. Let me know. Okay. Before ANCSA was enacted, AFN made a strong effort for natives to file on Indian allotments. The effort got hundreds of Alaska natives to file on allotments before the Allotment Act was revoked. Section 18A, Section 19A, Section 19B, oh my god. I'm not reading all that. I mean, I'm not reading it out loud because it's dry. Okay, Section 18A of ANCSA. Avail? Who uses the word avail anymore? After ANCSA, you cannot have allotments anymore. Section 19A. They got rid of Section 19A. They got rid of all reserves in Alaska except for the Annette Island Reserve. Because that one was, I don't know. No, Annette Island Reserve and the Metlakatla. Oh, that's part of that reserve, okay. They won't be eligible for benefits under ANCSA. Section 19B. I'm gonna be looking down so much. You're gonna see me like this, and it's gonna be so fucked up. Wow. And then they mentioned the thing about reserving subsurface rights or getting that all. Okay. I'm not gonna put any notes about that stuff, I think. Well, actually, I guess it will. Just in case I need to mention it. The instructor mentioned if it's common knowledge things like when ANCSA was passed, that I don't need to have a citation, because that's just like something you could Google. But if it's more specific, then I guess I would need to note. me get rid of the spacing thing. Pow. 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 And something subsurface, right? She sub on my surface till I... I'm just gonna abbreviate it as PB because I'm feeling lazy. Tension. Fry my nuts until I sheet. Okay. Organizing the cooking region. I'm gonna change the title to say skimming. You know, I'm just gonna say doing more homework. Make you a feast. Reading, but not really. Thanks, our Rutgers Robert group. Might bring the expectation that it's like one of the other reading streams where I'm like actually reading, but I'm not really. Kinda fucked up. Okay. She cooked on my inlet until I called Cook Inlet because of Captain Cook. He's not just a Disney character. I mean, no, that's Captain Hook, my bad. Okay. Representatives of the Cook Inlet Native Association were not invited to attend the meeting that was called Organized Cook Inlet Regional Corporation. Wow. The meetings were often rowdy because village people did not want urban natives from Sina to control the new regional corporation. They did not want urban natives to have a majority of the board seats, even though there were approximately 9,000 to 10,000 natives residing in the Anchorage area at the time. There were heated debates on the proposition to allow more than two urban natives to attend the organizational meetings. Some villagers attending the meetings were very biased against urban natives, and some said unkindly remarks about Hundorf and I remember a few people making remarks such as, "We do not belong in the region, we should go back to the regions that we were born in. We're not needed in the region." Much. After much argument, it was finally agreed that 5 urban members of Sina could attend the meetings to organize the Cook Inlet Regional Corporation. You finished that model? I did finish it. I executed it in the dark of the night. I mean, yeah. Hello, Heavy Gamer, welcome to here. I'm doing homework. It's gonna be so boring. Boring. Maybe, possibly. Alright, don't need to. Let's skip that thing. Art on the door. Rusty JPEG pictures. Okay, this is a chart called the 12 Regional Corporations, and it's showing the... Oh, I think we might have seen this in one of our PowerPoint slides in class. It's showing the, like, total population of each area and the number of shareholders. Notably, the Cook Inlet region has a much larger population than the other ones. Patna Inc., the Aleut Corporation, Arctic Slope Regional Corporation, Bering Straits Native Corporation, Bristol Bay Native Corporation, Callista Corporation, Chugach Natives Inc., Buchan Region Inc. has a similar amount of stockholders in it though. Doyon Limited, Koniag Inc. Regional Native Corporation, Nana Regional Native Corporation, and Sealaska Corporation. Sources, enrollment data, U.S. Office. Blah, 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 blah. U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs, TM. Election of officers. Urban Natives Meet. Startup years. I'm probably going to be skimming through a lot of this early stuff because it's like history of the early days, and while it might be relevant to some things, it doesn't like say a whole lot about how it's like working out today or whatever. This is like the 70s. Page 13. I'm gonna take notes on this stuff anyway, though, just in case I need to use it. Let's see. Had a bunch of native people who didn't have any business experience who had to start working on things. I got involved in lawsuits. Okay. Let's see, what's the word here? On these. Seven I. Oh, that's sharing of subsurface and timber revenues. Regional corporations and the federal government. Settlement Act was unclear in many areas, as a result in several lawsuits to regional corps and the federal government. Regions claimed populations for reservations within their regions, and this resulted in a lawsuit. The issue of gravel being subsurface or surface mineral resulted in several lawsuits. Okay. French. Hold on. You know, I mean, I was being silly goofy about skipping the first chapter, but maybe it would be fucked up if I just skipping on these notes. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna skimming on these notes, man. You know, maybe it would be fucked up if I just said forget books, and I was like, just looked at those little internet sources first, and then ignored books entirely. No, I went to the university library and checked this out and everything. Fucked up, honestly. I think I'm a hater of let me go back and look at the text. Maybe I shouldn't bother reading the whole thing. Let's see. Mountaintops and glaciers, shareholder expectations, new responsibilities, land conveyed. Syria prospers inside Syria, unequal sharing, and more trade. I think I'm a hater, and I'm gonna look at my other sources. I'll kill that guy. Come back to it if I need to. That'll distract you until I get this thing open for my other shit. You know, let me in. Let's see, Ford MJW97. Indian country and inherent tribal authority. Will they survive exile? Scholarship.law.duke.edu. I'll actually gotta put these on screen so you can read them. Really fucked up. Right. Oh, I'm gonna have to move the chat over again. Alright, we'll just move it over. Turn that back on. What was this thing? Microsoft Word? There. Alright. Alright. Let's get rid of that one. And unhide this. Or could be lined up, let me check. Okay. What are the other sources? I'll just pop them all open. I'm not gonna read books. I'm a book reading hater. Oh, I put it in there twice? Wow, I'm so... Oopsie. Okay. Retrieved from... Boink. Sovereignty and subsistence. Native self-government and rights to hunt, fish, and gather after Inksa. Retrieved from Gadangle Madangle. Eric C. Chaffee, Business Organizations and Tribal Self-Determination. Critical re-examination of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement. Crunch. Right, guys? Oh. Did I not pop them open? 41 pages, 49 pages, 32, 28. Well, maybe these will probably be more, whatever. Eric Chaffee. This one is by, let's see, it's Robert Roode and Marilyn Ford. Marilyn J. Ward Ford. 119, okay. Only 9 pages. The snippet. That crusty font. I think if I had more, if I didn't waste so much time, maybe I would have read that book, and then it would, and then I'd be able to glean like 3 things of value from it. No, a lot more about like history and stuff about it. So maybe I'll just whatever. I'll just let someone else who did, you know, someone else who collected important information do the work for me. Fucked up. I mean, make, you know. See, which one was this? Anksa sovereignty and a just settlement of da 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 da. Okay. And then I got one more. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I accidentally put one twice. Was it Ford? Yeah. Okay, 6 sources? Where? Fucked up. See how many pages this one is. Only 9 pages? Okay. Gigi Imbarardi, Western Washington University. Right. Maybe. Oh, I had a little thing. I had some other thing, but I guess I didn't. Put that as one of my. Oh, I think what happened is probably that I accidentally pasted a different one. Hold on. Let's see, John. So there was one that I wanted to read through that was called An Outsider's Opinion of Anksa or something like that. Oh, there it is. By Emeritus Professor Jenny Bell Jones. Jonesing on these nuts? Alright, this should be. This one's got 25 citations. Ouch. Department of Alaska Native Studies and Rural Development. Oh, your UAF? Oh. Right. Old people pictures? Really fucked up. No, okay. Well, I don't know, we'll leave that one. It's a little more of a informal thing, I think. Well, I don't know, I could read through it. Got plenty of citations, it's a thing. A thing that's written and exists. Oh, Kuro, welcome to here, welcome to more Hellzone part. Something, I don't know. I was gonna read through a book, and then I decided that I hate reading books. I'm just gonna use internet sources instead. From people who read books already. Wow. Power of the internet, you don't have to read books anymore. Okay, let's start with this one. Ah, okay, little page things on the side is a little messed up. Oh, I know, it's because it's just like a little snippet ripped out of a larger thing. And then it's got like this thing stamped on the front page. Okay. Hope you're doing well. Also, that's fair. I hate reading books too. It was actually that the book was a bit dry and was covered in like the first couple, or like the first chapter or two that I was skimming. It was covering stuff that wasn't really relevant to what I wanted to write about. So I was like, maybe. And then I looked at the table of contents again, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I should just forget about it. Too much historical context. All my homies hate historical context. All my homies. No, wait, look at that. Look at that, oh, that's Bigfoot. Introduction, a brief history, incentives for ANCSA, ANCSA as natural resources policy and social engineering, interpretation and implementation, settling or unsettling. Oh, that's it. Wow, the last page is just blank. Okay, so it's only 7 pages actually. And probably more like 5 or 6 pages if you cut out all these massive footnotes. Not massive. They got smaller on these other pages. About 6 pages. I'm gonna read the small ones first because I don't want to read a lot. I'm a hater. The Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, ANCSA. Whose settlement was it? An overview of salient issues. Oh, I guess that means I should bust out my cursor again. Fucked up. Closed it earlier because I didn't think I would need it. I thought I'd read a book, but I found fuck books. Okay. Made Smurfcat cursor smaller. Gigi Baradi, introduction. Why do we want 40 million acres of hunting rights when we've got to the whole state? Oh, that's funny that they put a footnote for that first thing. Professor of Environmental Studies at Huxley College of the Environment. Affiliate Professor at University of Alaska Fairbanks. Founding and core faculty member in the Tribal Environmental and Natural Resources Management Program, Cooperative Program at Northwest Indian College. Cha-cha. Cornell, she corn on my Nell until I university. Alright. Hello, Valen. Welcome to here. I'm gonna change the title again because we are reading. It's not what I was originally gonna read. Well, I was gonna read these other things, but I was intending for them to be like supplementary things or whatever, but whatever. Okay. On December 18th, 1971, the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, ANCSA, was signed into law by Richard Nixon. ANCSA provided a federal land settlement extinguishing Aboriginal claims to the state's 375 million acres of land in territorial waters, by providing Alaska Natives with 44 million acres of land and nearly $1 billion. One of the most significant features of the bill was the establishment of 12 regional and approximately 200 village corporations as owners of the land and recipients of the money. Consequences of this corporate structure have reverberated through Alaska Native communities and the entire Alaskan economy and society in the years since. As Steve Colt notes, by vesting the land and the money in Alaska Native business corporations and shareholders, not tribes, ANCSA deliberately repudiated previous United States Indian policy based on reservations and federal oversight. Citation: Steve Colt, Alaska Natives and the New Harpoon. Economic performance of the ANCSA regional corporations. Crunch, crunch, crunch-a-dunch. Okay. The regional corporations received close to half of the settlement money, 16 million acres, and subsurface rights to village corporation land. The performance of corporations at ANCSA was initially poor. Only the one-time sale of old-growth timber and other natural assets and a one-time tax windfall allowed the corporations to report positive accounting income. The articles in this edition pertaining to Native American issues show that the ANCSA corporations tried many of the same strategies that have previously been proposed as answers to the problems of sustainable development in remote regions. Citation 6. The promotion of sustainable development in remote regions was discussed by Lee Husky in a previous edition of this journal. See Lee Husky, Alaska Village Economies, 24J Land Resources and Environmental, L435-64, 2004. Crunch on my bunch until I... Oh, right. Oh my god. Microsoft Word 2007 is so old that, when I like maximize the window and I try to grab the title bar and like pull it over, it doesn't move. You can't. It doesn't have to like make it small first. I have to make it a window. Okay. I'm gonna kill these guys because I'm gonna need. Fuck that. We're not using that book. Taking notes? All my homies hate taking notes. call this one ANCSA Overview G. Berardi. Maybe I'll just put them on like, I'll have like the title so that it's all the notes from the one thing, and I don't have to repeat it over and over. That makes sense. You know, they didn't mention this bit in the class about one. They just mentioned timber. They didn't say old growth timber. Old growth timber is like, you don't want to cut down the old trees, right? Yeah. I don't know if we'll include that in writing anything, but we'll put it. What was that, page? This is actually like a snip from, what was this a snip from? Let's see. Oh, I see. Environmental Studies, Faculty, and Staff Publications. From Environmental Studies at Western Cedar. Or the Environmental Law Commons. Crunch on my bunch. Oh my god, it's gonna capitalize the thing for me. Where is the, I would kind of like to have this tab thing. Oh, you can't see though, the cutoff. Forgot. But it's like this browser thing on the taskbar and then Word 2007 are like really far apart, and then I was forgetting where the thing is. Okay. Ta-da. The articles in this edition pertaining to Native American issues show that the ANCSA corporations, oh, we already read that. Crunch. ANCSA, brief history. Oh my god, and then I skipped it all because I already know that. No, I'll read it out loud. Hello, Nerkia. I was about to say Nerkua, as you said lurking, and oops, hello Nerkua, have a good lurk. Really fucked up. Okay. ANCSA, brief history. Although Alaska Native land claims were asserted as early as 1867, when the Tlingit Indians of Southeast Alaska challenged the sale of Alaska by Russia to the United States, decades passed with little attention to and no resolution of these claims. Native groups intermittently pressed the issue. In 1912, leaders of the Tanana Chiefs in interior Alaska asserted a native title to traditional hunting and fishing lands that are being used by settlers. In 1935, the Tlingit, joined by the Haida, challenged the withdrawal of lands for the Tongass National Forest. It was not until 1968 that the Tlingit and Haida received a judgment in the 1935 action, cash settlement of $7.5 million in compensation, and a return of Aboriginal title to about 1/7 of the federal land holdings in Southeast Alaska. Wow, a whole 1/7? Amazing. With statehood in 1958, and the provision that the state could select 104 million acres from the public domain, tensions mounted over the effects of these selections on traditional use by natives and on their Aboriginal land rights. By the mid-1960s, native organizations such as the Aleut League, Arctic Slope Native Association, Chugach Natives, Cook Inlet Native Association, Fairbanks Native Association, Kodiak Native Association, Kuskokwim Valley Association, Northwest Arctic Native Association, and Tanana Chiefs Conference had at least implicitly included social welfare and native political autonomy in their mandates. The land selection issue continued unresolved, and in 1966, Interior Secretary Stuart Udall froze the conveyance of state-selected lands pending a native land claim settlement. In 1967, native leaders and supporters of the newly formed Alaska Federation of Natives AFN continued the push for a land settlement, and the first bills were subsequently introduced in Congress. In congressional hearings chaired by Senator Henry M. Jackson in February 1968, Willie Hensley, who was then serving as a representative in the Alaska legislature, and as chair of the Land Claims Task Force appointed by the governor, provided a cogent and forceful statement on why Alaska Natives had a land claim. Let's go down to that. It's just little citation notes. In 1970, a land claims bill was passed by the Senate, but Alaska Natives were disappointed in its land provisions. Finally, in 1971, bills passed. Both houses of Congress, and a compromise version was written in conference committee that passed. The bill, known as the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, was signed into law on December 18, 1971. Excuse me. Wow, they summarized the history in 3 paragraphs instead of half a book. Wow, I'm so violent. Okay. Incentives for ANCSA. The key incentive to resolve the land claims issue was the discovery of oil at Prudhoe Bay on Alaska's North Slope in 1967. All sides realized a pipeline across Alaska to get the oil to market might be delayed for years by Aboriginal land claim challenges. In addition, the state urgently wanted to continue to build its own land base. There was tremendous pressure on Native groups to settle land claims, given the expected economic importance of Prudhoe Bay oil. This confluence of interests finally motivated members of Congress to write and pass a settlement bill. Before the Prudhoe Bay oil fields were discovered, Alaska was a state of modest means. Military and other federal government spending in extractive natural resource industries, fishing, mining, logging, and some oil production in Cook Inlet, provided most of the state's income. The economic impact of the discovery of oil in Alaska was dramatically different than it might have been elsewhere. The state owned the oil field, which meant it could collect royalties as well as taxes on the large amounts of oil that could be produced. Thus, the oil was seen as enormously important to state development and national interests, and the political will coalesced to settle native land claims and remove that obstacle. Let's see, citation 14. C. Berry, Supra, Note 9. See also Dan O'Neill, The Firecracker Boys, 1994. Stating that soon after oil began flowing, the world price for it tripled, further amplifying its impact on the state economy. ANCSA and oil development happened amid some very unforgiving physical geographies. The physical geography of much of village Alaska does not easily accommodate entrepreneurial ventures that require external markets. Villages generally lack arable land as well as the fuel and non-fuel resources needed for capital-intensive extractive industries. Local labor is unskilled, the costs of energy, transportation, and communications are high, and a harsh climate adds to the cost of service delivery and transportation. The remoteness of village sites has additionally always suggested little hope for a self-sustaining market economy. Many villages, in fact, represent a continued occupancy of sites formerly used for only part of the year in a mobile subsistence economy. These locations that were ideally suited for subsistence activities are ill-suited to the market economy. This also means that today, little investment opportunity exists in the villages for the substantial sums of money provided by ANCSA. The ANCSA policy objective of economic development through corporate activity would seem to have little chance of succeeding in many villages. ANCSA as natural resources policy and social engineering. What exactly did ANCSA settle? To answer this question, it is necessary first to understand that the intent of ANCSA's architects was to both secure native lands and provide a mechanism for social welfare, a tool of cultural preservation. Some drafters of the Act commented on the process, which they saw as social engineering. While admittedly a compromise and far from perfect, ANCSA nevertheless marks a great moral and ethical advance over the white man's dealings with the native inhabitants of the lower 48. The Act will provide an unparalleled case study on a large scale of the adaptability to a radically changed economic, social, and political environment of several markedly different ethnic groups, which have dealt effectively for centuries with a harsh physical environment and a totally different level of social and economic problems. The mechanism for the use, development, and control over the lands, resources, and money by the native people of Alaska only a few generations removed from Aboriginal existence, is that relatively modern business creation, the corporation. As shareholders, the native people are entitled to a voice in management and a share in the land's assets and income. Yeah, I should probably be writing some more notes down. Let's see. That thing I'm supposed to be doing, writing Shazazzle? Fucked up, I know. I can't just read the thing and then be like, well, yeah, that sure is not PogChamp or whatever. Okay. Whatever, I'll just use the word finalize. Page 5. Geography of villages not suitable for entrepreneurial development. As I'm gonna crunch the tab I have open. That's the other browser thing. Not suitable for supposed economic development by ANCSA. Around to listen now? Oh, okay. Did you hear the bit where I said that I accidentally called you Nercula because Lurk Necula and I tripped on my mouth or whatever? Weird. Okay. Okay, we just read this bit. The intent of ANCSA's architects was to us. Crunch copy pasting? Was that page 6? No, it's still page 5. Let's see. Economic benefits anticipated from ANCSA included development of natural resources, capital improvements such as housing, transportation, services, employment opportunities, and establishment of small business enterprises. Broader social benefits included improved educational levels and greater native political influence. The intent of the corporate structure was to assist Alaska Natives in social and economic arenas by giving them control, as corporate shareholders, over their land and other natural resources, while avoiding the paternalism of the reservation system in the contiguous 48 states. Before 1968, there was no mention of corporations in early versions of a land settlement. The first bills introduced in 1967, quote, resolved claims to the tribes, bands, villages, communities, associations, or other identifiable groups of Eskimos, Indians, and Aleuts. Then, in U.S. Senate Interior Committee meetings in 1968, business corporations were proposed as the means of carrying out the settlement. This proposal was motivated in large part by opposition to the power of the federal government, as exhibited by the Bureau of Indian Affairs' bureaucratic and inept handling of its responsibilities on reservations. The corporation model was seen by most framers of the Act, both non-native and native, as the key instrument to help and perhaps induce native groups to make the transition to a modern economic society, more than they had in the previous 200 years. Shari Hundorf agrees, writing, Modern Arctic natives have entered the Western world in less tragic ways. If the 20th century has been the period of high colonialism in the Arctic, it has also seen a stunning amount of resistance to these incursions, and, more recently, consolidations of native political power. In 1971, Congress passed the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, the largest land settlement in U.S. history. Despite some major shortcomings, particularly with regard to sovereignty rights. Yeah, they just... Okay, I'm not going into... No, we'll see the detail in some other ones. Despite some major shortcomings, particularly with regard to sovereignty rights, ANCSA has enabled Alaska Natives, including Eskimos, to exert considerable power in state politics. You can tell this thing written by this person is from a while ago because they don't call them Eskimos anymore. That's usually, from what I figure, that's referring to either the Yupik or Inupiat, but whatever. Okay. Like this bit here, they have just these three groups, and then each one of these is like referring to multiple different groups. This one's referring to Inupiat and Yupik, and then this one's referring to the Athabascans in the interior and the Tlingit Haida and Tsimshian in the southeast. And then this is like, yeah, the Alutiiq and Ungan. I was gonna write another thing, because we gotta actually write some notes so that when I look back and be like, what do I write with my words, and I don't have to reread everything. Really fucked up. Scramble. Okay. She stayed on my politics until I... Oh, this quote. Book. From a thing, Shari M. Hundorf, Going Native, Indians and the American Cultural Imagination, 126. Crunch. Native leader Byron Mallett, former director of the Alaska Permanent Fund. Alaska Permanent Fund? That's not going to be around for much longer. Aha, okay. A former director of the Alaska Permanent Fund and CEO of Sealaska Inc. wrote that although ANCSA was designed to rework Native political organization, traditional entities stayed intact. But now, Mallett argues, it's time to make ANCSA work by fully realizing Native visions for the future. Interpretation and implementation, settling or unsettling. Oh, right. They mentioned make the transition to a modern economic society, and I was like, bleh. Anyway. In addition to resolving land and resource ownership claims, ANCSA extinguished Natives' claims to any other traditional land-related rights, including Aboriginal hunting and fishing rights. This has developed into one of the most contentious and problematic provisions of the settlement. A host of related topics has come to be included under the term subsistence. Subsistence issues are addressed by Byron Mallett in this issue. Other provisions of the Act addressed different aspects of resource ownership and utilization. In the discussions by the various authors in this issue, several themes emerge, probing the goals and accomplishments of ANCSA and problems with it. The authors address the following key questions. Did ANCSA secure native lands? ANCSA secured title to a significant amount of the contested land, and in this sense was considered a success. Did ANCSA protect native lands for purposes of subsistence? Byron Mallett argues no. Continuation of the subsistence issue is, perhaps, the most unsettling part of ANCSA. Resolving subsistence rights is a key element of the agenda for the future, as discussed in this article. Did ANCSA promote native economic and social well-being? It appears that ANCSA has been a success in greatly expanding the economic role of natives in the Alaskan economy, providing capital for investment by ANCSA corporations, and producing a wide range of economic and social benefits, including employment, healthcare, educational opportunities, cultural programs, and more through operations of the corporations. Mallett also talks about the greater recognition that Alaska Natives now receive from the state, and a cultural revitalization he sees on his village travels. An alternative view is also presented, similar to that expressed by Thomas R. Berger. The question of economic and social impacts is addressed in the articles by policy economic analyst Steve Colt. Colt's article, which shows that through their first 20 years of operation, 73 to 93, ANCSA regional corporations lost more than 75% of their original cash endowment, with a one-time sale of old-growth timber and other natural assets and a one-time tax windfall, allowing them to report positive accounting income. Colt reports a wide variation in performance of the corporations in an analysis that provides a quantitative basis for assessing ANCSA as natural resources policy, particularly in remote regional economies. Did ANCSA preserve the federal trust relationship? Although in Section 2 of the Act, racially defined institutions, tribes, were not recognized, the obligations of the United States or Alaska to protect and promote the rights and welfare of natives were. Early drafts of the congressional bill nevertheless sought to withdraw all federally sponsored social services. Did ANCSA protect native governing authority? Although some argue that ANCSA was a significant step forward in terms of native political development, primarily through increased organizational skills, it also was to some degree a step backward. Alaska Natives have historically been an important political force in Alaska, in its intent to assimilate Alaska Natives by rejecting native or tribal government institutions as a vehicle for development. Still, native villages have been able to assert governing authorities and powers, as discussed in the article by native law scholar David Case. Time to eat saltine crackers. You know, a jaw. A little winky swanky. Short article? Okay. In sum, ANCSA serves as an example of the risks in formulating natural resources policy that does not reflect the cultural values of target populations and their customary natural resource utilization strategies. The articles in this special issue look at the impacts of ANCSA and offer insights on the ever-increasing dependence of Alaska's remote villages on state subsidies and the global economy. And then we did not see any articles in this special issue because this is just a little snip. Maybe we'll read this thing, Outsiders' Thoughts on ANCSA. There's this other thing, 19 pages. Yeah, that looks funny. The singular, redeem, say hi, that's the only one. Yeah, I still have tits open. I could close it real quick. I don't have any of her redeems on, but it still triggers on my. I think we'll be Nice to change the sound for the people ones to something cute. Well, I don't know what. Could make it like the squeaky noise, but I don't know. The Hound Milk one I have a little cat noise he made once. Here. All right. There's more to life than money. Okay. And oh my. Big ass blocks of citation stuff. Footnotes. Half of this entire thing is footnotes. Why they be like that? Okay. Boa. Did you mean to pin that? No hablo español. I only speak English. Oh, hello, cat. Kitty cat. Oh, Brazilian? Oh, okay, sorry. That'd be Portuguese, right? Oh. Maybe there's just something about Sprigatito that has South American energy or something. I don't know. I think the design may just bring in the folks in general. Oh, okay. Well, I was being a little silly goofy, but like, I've had a few more people come in and speaking Spanish or Portuguese, and I'm not really sure why. Very, very mysterious. Alright, let me put my crackers up. Oh, I already had one open. I'm so smart. The other kitty cat is here now. Alright. go ahead and read this one now. So, sovereignty and a just settlement of land claims or an act of deception. Actually, let me skim through it first. Let's see, land claims. Oh, is that it? No, B. ANCSA enacted tribal sovereignty in the Indian country. Legislative and judicial determination of Indian county. Legislative and judicial recognition of inherent tribal sovereignty. Maybe what if I skip this one? What if we say, forget that Robert Roode guy, we don't need him. Really fucked up. No, because I do only need 5 sources, and we could snipe this one. Robert Roode read the Bible 36 times, and that means we can't trust him. No, no, it's well, don't really know. Could be algorithm with friends, communities. Oh, maybe, I don't know. No, but the early bit, a little bit I skimmed and I saw the thing again. I saw this where he's like saying this is inconsistent with the so-and-so ordinance, and it's like that sort of expecting the US to adhere to the laws that they made or whatever. Judicial decisions, something, liberalism, I don't know. Alright, we'll put them in the back. Let's read. This is the one that we just skimmed through. I'll put this one at the end that I'll recognize I actually finished it. Or no, actually we'll use our little new tab marker here. We'll put it over there. Okay. This one's An Outsider's Thoughts on ANCSA by Emeritus Professor Jenny Bell Jones. Oh, it's a little touch on the edge. This one is an actual, not an actual, this one's like a thing on a website instead of a PDF. Yucked up, I know. An Outsider's Thoughts on ANCSA by Emeritus Professor Jenny Bell Jones. ANCSA changed the lives of everybody in Alaska. Whether you're Alaska Native, non-native, or some other kind of native as I am, your life has been affected by ANCSA. You've spent any length of time at all in the state. Alaska would not look the way it looks today were it not for the act and the corporations it created. ANCSA is woven throughout everything that happens in the state today, and we cannot really understand what is going on unless we understand ANCSA. Now, for disclosure, I am not an ANCSA. Honestly, I don't understand anything. I'm doing homework. Type it in so you can pop them into Translate. Right here. Just here for moral support. Yeah. Okay. Now for disclosure, I'm not an ANCSA shareholder. I am, however, an example of some of the many ways that non-shareholders have benefited from the legislation. I have a number of relatives and many friends who are shareholders. I've been a scholar of the Act for a long time, and I want to say thank you to all those who are hardworking making ANCSA possible. ANCSA marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life. The very first class. Oh my god. Skipping ahead? No. I don't know if I really need to read this. It's just talking about their personal background. UAF, Alaska Native Studies. Subsistence, law, the doctrine of Christian discovery, economics, finance, land management, tribal law, climate change, culture. ANCSA was always there. ANCSA guided my studies through 3 different degree programs, providing me with the backdrop for all my studies in rural development and international indigenous law. Jobs with 3 different regional corporations helped me pay my way through school. I'd go on to teach courses on the Act and continue to study today. Could not have had the successful academic career that I enjoyed without the help of ANCSA. As I learned about the land claims period during the 1960s, I was struck by how easily those who were fighting to protect the land could have failed. Their cause was not popular in Alaska, which had a significant non-native population that opposed any form of settlement. My study of territorial history found anti-native racism so deeply embedded as to be invisible to much of the population that were perpetuating it. Settlement was never a given. The men and women who fought for it are to be commended for succeeding against incredible odds. And we must remember that what they got was an act of Congress, not a treaty or a negotiated settlement. It was not perfect, but it was the best they could get, a tool to be used for the future, and an amazing achievement given what they were up against. The 90s/early 2000s was an exciting time to be a part of the rural development program at UAF. Through coursework, guest speakers, and seminars, students at the... what if I skip this shit too? I hate reading. I'm a hater. No, let's see. I'm gonna skip you. Get skippy. Did not take long, however, for me to see that not everything in the ANCSA Rose Garden was perfect. As I became more assimilated into the Alaska Native community. Speed reading? Yeah, I mean, it's just some of this is like not important for what I'm gonna write about, so. Talking with cracker in my mouth and shoot crumbs everywhere. As I became more assimilated into the Alaska Native community, I realized that all was not well. I attended an unreasonable number of funerals. I comforted far too many friends who had lost children to suicide and accidents. There was poverty in many communities, along with a lack of basic developments like water and sewer systems and responsive law enforcement. State had unreasonably high levels of drug and alcohol abuse, and I became very aware of the extreme levels of violence and sexual assault that persisted. In 2013, the Indian Law and Order Commission deemed public safety to be such a concern in rural Alaska that they devoted an entire chapter of the report to Alaska. Unemployment and homelessness rates were disproportionately high for Alaska Natives throughout the state. In many villages, unemployment topped 50%, and what jobs there were skewed toward government work, indicating a lack of private investment. Incarceration rates were also disproportionate, and I observed some blatantly unjust court decisions that harmed Alaska Natives. I personally experienced the biased justice system on more than one occasion. Yeah, if I remember right, Alaska is the state with the highest rate of sexual assault in the US. I don't remember if that's... I think that's what it is. But it does have a much higher rate than usual. Maybe that just applies to crime in general or whatever. I learned that tribal governments had been omitted from ANCSA, leaving them with very little in the way of resources to provide governance in their communities. I saw that there was often little in the way of partnership between ANCs, that's Alaska Native Corporations, and tribes, even though they served the same population. Tribes lacked the kind of territorial jurisdiction they needed to provide effective governance. Not everyone agreed about the kinds of development that were needed and who should pay for them. There was active war ongoing between tribes in the state of Alaska. The state of Alaska was spending large amounts of money disputing with tribes over the most basic parts of tribal sovereignty. These protracted legal battles consumed limited funds and energy from tribes that could have been better spent in their communities. The state was spending public money to fight against its own citizens at the same time that it cried poor when asked to fund services in their communities. Well, Today's subsistence continues to be a legal battlefield. At least 60 disputes regarding subsistence went through the court systems during ANCSA's first 50 years. And there are more coming. The extinguishment of Aboriginal hunting and fishing rights in Section 4B of ANCSA has never been resolved in a way that works for Alaska Native communities, and the cost has been huge for everyone involved. I understood then why some of the people I met were not happy with ANCSA, and said that ANCSA was intended to terminate their very existence. Clearly, there was still more work to be done. How might these conditions be improved? Do I think that all the shortcomings I've noted are solely the fault of ANCSA? No, of course not. Well, still defending... No, okay. No, of course not. There's far more to it than that. For instance, Congress could have passed legislation to correct the subsistence problems it failed to correct within Title 8 of the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act, ANILCA. The state could have worked... I'm being a little silly because it's, it's like, they graduated and, or what is it, they went through the whole university system and ANCSA paid for all this and that, and wow, it's so, whatever. The state could have worked to develop a subsistence law that would withstand a legal challenge, perhaps learning from Hawaii's constitution. The state of Alaska could have long since chosen to recognize tribes and partner with them instead of fighting expensive court battles. There was nothing in ANCSA that forbade better working relationships between ANCs and tribes. If the state had been able to meet its obligations in terms of law enforcement in the villages, we would not be in the unenviable position of having our own chapter in the Indian Law and Order Commission's report. Obviously, ANCSA was not the sole culprit, but it did include a mandate to address, quote, the real economic and social needs of natives. Could it actually do this? Were there tools hidden within the act that were not being fully utilized, and/or content? Oh, that's funny. It says, were there, and then it ends with a period. Let's see. Tools hidden within the act that were not being fully utilized, and/or content that could be further amended that would go a long way to addressing some of the complaints. Sprinkle. Here. The next 50 years. When the... Hey, kitty cat, that's my cracker. When the Dawes General Allotment Act was passed in 1887, there was an expectation that assimilation would be complete within 25 years, and lower 48 Indian lands would become available to non-Indian buyers. This was supposed to benefit Indians both economically and socially. Things did not work out that way. Millions of acres of... Oh my god, kitty cat, get out of here. Okay. App destroyed. Okay. Things did not work out that way. Millions of acres of Indian lands were lost, and tribes were impoverished, and it has taken over 100 years for some lower 48 tribes to recover, while for others the work is still in progress. Those tribes did not give up. They did not just let go, and they used all the tools available to them to survive. But it took another act of Congress, the Indian Reorganization Act in 1934, to slow the destruction. Slow the destruction? I don't know. ANCSA has only been around for 50 years or so. Before we wonder why everything is not yet perfect, we might compare where we are now with where lower 48 tribes were 50 years after the Dawes Act. Alaska Natives have been using the tools, and in some areas the progress has been remarkable. Other areas still need work, but we are in a much better place than the lower 48 was 50 years after the Dawes Act. When we look at the wording of the original ANCSA, it seems remarkable that we are celebrating the 50th birthday. It was not intended to be this way. Hidden away in Section 7 was the following termination language. Quote, Section 7, H3. On January 1st of the 21st year, after the year in which this act is enacted, all stock previously issued shall be deemed to be cancelled, and shares of stock of the appropriate class shall be issued without restrictions required by this act to each stockholder share for share. This language would have removed all the restrictions on the ANCSA shares after 20 years, and placed them on the open market, at which time they could have been freely sold by the native shareholders and bought by anybody who wished to participate. If this would have happened, we can be sure that the landscape would look very different today, and it would not have been positive for Alaska Native cultural continuity. Thanks to the 1991 amendments, the shares remain in restricted status today. The statute looks very different now, and readers are encouraged to compare the original Section 7 with its update in the U.S. Code. It is tempting to take the position that because this sunset clause was amended to protect the native ownership of the corporations, there is nothing more to worry about and we can simply move on. If we look carefully though, this is not the case. There have been numerous amendments to ANCSA, but most of these involve property rights. With the exception of these amendments, we still have a piece of legislation that has been in place for 50 years that was originally crafted around speedy assimilation, if not outright termination. I think I've gotten another bug bite on mine. There's a funny bump. And by funny bump, I mean the type that you get when a bug bites you and it swells up a bit. It's not really itchy though. Speedy assimilation, if not outright termination. There are still many of the parts of ANCSA that are not working well in terms of the social and economic well-being of Alaska Natives today, which can be traced back to the expectation of speedy assimilation and the understanding by Congress that Section 7H3 would be implemented. Your cats maybe have some fleas? I mean, I guess could be possible due to the fact that my dad constantly lets Boy Cat outside and not giving a shit. I don't know how you'd check them. That just taking them to the vet or something. Well, flea infestation, can't wait. Shareholder continuity. If Section 7H3 had not been amended, enrollment would have not been an issue after 1991. 30 years later, continuing enrollment is very important if the ANCs are to continue their work. ANCSA was amended to allow shareholders from each corporation to vote to issue shares to natives born after the December 18th, 1971 cutoff date. To date, 6 Alaska Native corporations, ANCs, and some Alaska Native Village corporations, ANVCs, have voted to do this. Blood quantum requirements are often raised as a complaint about ANCSA, but these were actually addressed in the 1991 amendments. Section 2 definitions now includes. Could just be paranoid after my flea fiascos? Well. I mean, possible. If I mentioned this to my dad, he would be like, oh yeah, maybe. And then he would continue to let the cat outside anyway because brain head empty or whatever. Imagine breaking out of a existing pattern of behavior. Ridiculous. Good night to you guys? Oh, okay, good night. Section 2 definitions now includes. Descendant of a native means a lineal descendant of a native or of an individual who would have been a native if such individual were alive on December 18, 1971, or 2, an adoptee of a native or a descendant or of a descendant of a native whose adoption A occurred prior to his or her majority, and B is recognized at law or in equity. Yeah, that sure is a compilation of words. Shareholders can vote to enroll new natives using linear descent rather than blood quantum, but only a couple of the ANCs, ASRC and Callista, chosen to do this. So, shareholders do have an option to vote to both enroll new natives and to remove the blood quantum requirement if they so choose. There are tools there to ensure shareholder continuity if corporations and shareholders want to use them. However, there could be future downsides to eliminating the blood quantum requirement that would need to be considered. If, for instance, a large percentage of current shareholders reside out of state, as indicated in a 2012 GAO report, their children who would qualify to be shareholders via lineal descent might have little or no connection to the land and see no reason to retain it in the future. Do you ever wonder how your life would be if you were a native? It would probably be worse. But also it might not be too different from how it is currently. There's a lot of native people in Anchorage, in my city. Or at least materially, it wouldn't be that different. Hello, Huskat. Welcome to here. Natives here live kind of isolated, so I fear I wouldn't be a gamer if I was. I'd be fine with not being a gamer, to be honest. I don't know. Whoa, homework? Yeah, I'm doing homework. So I feel like it's not so much being born a different ethnicity more than scales of poverty. Yeah, people have... There's at least 2 people who already have thought that I was Alaska Native before. And actually, when we were looking through a lot of the pictures, or is it some of those old black and white photos, or when I'm seeing the interviews of Native people, they look pretty similar to, like, what is it? Half Chinese, so they look kind of similar to, like, the sort of people I've liked, Chinese people that like my mom and her relatives and stuff. I don't know. Why did I bring that up? I don't know. Yeah. See where we're at here. Tribal governance. Inksa was silent on tribal governance, in spite of having been presented by some as self-determination legislation. The native leadership pursuing land claims could only do so much. Their primary focus was on securing the land. The omission of provisions for governance was unexpected. In Alaska, native rights, statehood, and unfinished business, Robert Anderson states, "It is understandable that native leadership at the time would not have seriously considered that settlement of land claims necessarily diminished the authority of native tribal governments. There were over 70 villages organized under the Indian Reorganization Act at the time, and most others operated under some form of traditional council governance. Why did Congress ignore these governments? Inksa's failure to provide for self-governance speaks to the reality of the legislation as a property rights settlement, as well as to how tribes were viewed in Alaska in 1971. Whatever the thinking may have been 50 years ago, it is now time to correct this and support the tribes so that they can provide better governance. While in theory, a village corporation can convey some or even all of its lands to a tribe, this may not be the best solution. It leaves the land without the protections against alienation that Inksa provides, and the tribe may or may not be able to place that land into trust to gain Indian country status and regain the protections." I mean, feels interesting with like China. There's a lot of different sort of regional differences a lot of folks don't super think of, not super familiar. But with my housemate, he's talked about how different some areas are, and even between his parents, it's like very different. Yeah, I mean, they don't even speak the same language in all parts of China. Most well-known, like, the two most common languages are Mandarin and Cantonese. Mandarin is like the official state language, and Cantonese is what's considered the rural language, and I can't understand that one. And then there's other, they call them dialects, but they don't actually have anything in common, really. They just share a written language. Well, I mean, I guess they have a little bit in common, but not a whole lot. Like, if I remember right, Cantonese is a 6-tone system, while Mandarin is a 4-tone system. So, like, yeah, there's, yeah, whatever. It's a thing that exists. There's another one called Hokkien that I don't remember where exactly it is. I think that's like, yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, China's a large area. I mean, I was just thinking about how, what is it? You know, it's like looking kind of a little bit similar to, what is it? Native Alaskan people and then like some Asian peoples, cause maybe it was like that thing where they moved over from Asia on that land bridge 3,000 something years ago or whatever. I don't know. His mom's area, a lot of people were really tall. Oh. His dad used to have a very different dialect. Oh. Yeah, I had a friend that I used to hang out with back in the day, and his mom and dad were, I guess they're from South China, because that's like the more rural part of China. And so they spoke both Cantonese and Mandarin, but I never understood them at all when they were speaking Cantonese. And their Mandarin had a bit more of an accent. My mom's got the Beijing accent because she's from the urban area. I guess. I don't know. I still have, I inherited the Beijing accent. So if you hear people from Taiwan speak Chinese, they have a lot less emphasis on like the tonal part of it. It's like more casually spoken, I guess, and it's a little bit harder for me to understand. And that's just Mandarin. It's not like a different dialect or anything. Characters are different too, right? No, they're the same. The oh wait, no. Well, there's two Chinese writing systems, but they share some characters, and the other one, so it's simplified and traditional, and it was only established within the last 100 years. It's very young. And I don't know if they teach both of them in China. In mainland China, in PRC. But like a lot of old signs or old documents are going to be written in traditional, so it's pretty likely that you would learn both anyway. Okay, my dad came down and told me it's dinner time. But anyway, anywhere outside of PRC is not going to use simplified Chinese, and they'll just use traditional. So that'd be like Taiwan and Singapore and Malaysia and I don't know, maybe a couple of rare locations in Korea, some really old shit or whatever. Because yeah. Or any kanji in Japanese that happen to be the same ones that are used in Chinese, it's also going to be traditional. Or like it'll be the equivalent character in traditional Chinese. Colonized? Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, China did do some imperialism back in the day, you know. They dipped their toes in that. China has both been a colonizer and been colonized before. Wow. He's so special. Give him a stamp. Vietnam uses those characters too? Oh, yeah. You know, I'm getting distracted. What the? No, But yeah, like, as far as the dialects in China go, they all use the same writing system of traditional Chinese, because it was like, I guess, I don't know, in some fuck shit dynasty that I don't remember the name of, probably, they didn't have like a officially established, or they didn't have a universal writing system yet, and then it was like whoever came up with it, and then it was like that was the writing system that was like shared across all dialects or something. So even if you can't understand each other in speech, you can write the thing down and then be like, oh yeah, that's what they're trying to say. So the difference in dialects is just spoken instead of written language. I don't actually know a whole lot about China's like ancient history, no, pre-modern history, whatever. History, pre-contemporary history. There you go. I don't know. They covered it shortly in like world history, and then I never, and then I forgot all of it. Have you ever visited over there? Yeah, I visited. Well, that was back when I was a kid. I visited about 5 times, I think. Visiting my aunt and uncle in their concrete apartment. They don't live there anymore though. They moved somewhere that was more rural recently, and I haven't been there in like a decade or so. I think the time that we were visiting was during Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms, so my parents were not as worried about like, you know, just taking trips over there or whatever, because it was like when they were opening up the economy to capitalist investment or whatever, foreign investment. I only went to Vietnam once when I was super small. Yeah, my mom has still gone and visited over there a couple times, but it was just her. My dad didn't go with because he doesn't speak Chinese, and I didn't go with because I was doing school or something. I don't know. To write about this shit? I don't want to write. I'm a hater of writing. I didn't take any notes on this one yet. I think I'm a hater of note-taking. Oh, I guess I could go eat. Yeah, I guess. I may have forgotten about that already. It's not really a big deal if I get distracted, because I still I have until Sunday night for this one. For my other papier, I have until like Wednesday night. Okay. Okay, I'll go eat. Yo, Mamiya. I'm gonna mute the AFK music so you can hear my playlist instead. It's gonna be so fucked up. You know, back from the crunch zone. It's possible. I saw a Discord ping like a day or two ago about how so-and-so creature wasn't gonna stream because I had finals coming up and stuff, and then I saw a stream ping from them on my phone. They just couldn't tear themselves away. No, excuse me. I think this is where we. They need the moral support? Oh yeah. For real? For real? Yeah. It is up to tribes and corporations to come together and decide what they want for the next 50 years. There's no one-size-fits-all, so amending ANCSA cannot be the only solution. It should, however, at least be considered. Is Section 14C3 working to the best interests of the native beneficiaries of ANCSA? If not, what would a better arrangement look like? Tribes, municipalities, and corporations need to work together to craft a workable amendment, and then gain the support of our congressional delegation to get the act amended. You know, this was another thing that wasn't really talked about too much, about how tribes, corporations, wasn't talked about much in our class content, about how they're not actually the same thing. And where. After eating dinner, my throat gets a little goopy. Not a little bit, just a little. No, that makes it sound a lot more than. I have to like clear my throat and swallow more because the mucus was, the saliva and mucus were going. Subsistence. This is perhaps the biggest failing of the settlement and the hardest to fix. As noted earlier, there have been more than 60 subsistence-related cases argued in court since the passage of ANCSA. This is a glaring failure of one of the mandates of the Act, calling for these settlements to be accomplished rapidly with certainty, in conformity with the real economic and social needs of natives without litigation. Bold font added. Subsistence is vital to both the social and economic needs of many native communities. The existence of so many court disputes shows how badly ANCSA has failed in this area. Interestingly, very few of the court battles include ANCs or ANVCs as litigants. This expensive and time-consuming work has been left up to tribes and individuals. Oh yeah, I think I'll do the... well, I don't know. I'll do the note gathering for this one after I finish reading it. Or I'll just skim through it again and write down things that I think might be importante. But for the rest of these are like 50 page, 20 to, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna read this one, but like 30 to 50 pages. I don't know, fucked up and evil. Probably won't be able to read all these on stream. Would it be fucked up if I... I'll probably, well, let's see, I think... I think... Oh my god. We're gonna get in the stream tunnel. No, I think, streaming thing, helps me get started on it, so maybe I would be able to get... I would probably be able to read through stuff more quickly if I was doing it on my own, but... yeah, I don't know. You know, clicking stream button? Really fucked up. Getting started is usually the hardest part for me for longer assignments. Yeah, but at the same time you're doing it and not like jumping to a bunch of other things. I suppose. Yeah, but then I have to read the thing out loud, and then sometimes I have to chat and be like, hey guys. I don't know. I mean, I didn't start this before today, so that's what I meant with like the helping more with getting started. That's the classic ADHD haver maneuver. You know, the executive dysfunction. Like, I put co-working and chat a lot, but a lot of folks do co-working and studying streams, like don't talk for 20 minutes. Oh. Yeah. You can do Pomodoro and work for 30 minutes and then chat for 5 minutes and then work for another. I don't know. Excuse me. Okay. Courts are not the right place to obtain permanent protection for subsistence. Favorable court decision is only protective until it's overturned later on. Oh my god, so violent. I wonder what happened with that recently. No, this is from 2021. Legislation at both the state and federal levels is needed. Only stopping at reform and not going for full-on revolution. No, it's the Alaska Native Communist Party. No. Okay. Let's see. Legislation at both the state and federal levels is needed. ANGSA has provided Alaska Natives with considerable political power, but that power has not been sufficient yet to obtain meaningful changes to Alaska's laws. Congress needs to take action, but to get that action, the ANCs, the ANVCs, and the state will need to get behind that effort, and everyone will need to be on the same page in regards to what the fix will actually be. Settlement trusts and endowment models. What about the economic future for shareholders? What will we do when one or another ANC fails? Robert, wow, what a name. Robert Snigeroff and Craig Richards discussed this possibility in a 2021 Law Review article, pointing out that all businesses have a natural lifespan, and therefore we cannot expect them to support cultural continuity indefinitely. The authors discussed the dual mission of ANCs to both create shareholder wealth and to promote cultural continuity, and present some interesting options for the use of settlement trusts and other forms of trusts that some corporations are beginning to explore. Trusts like money? Like, what if we just gave them all the land? No, maximizing shareholder profit and wealth is not the only objective of an ANC. Snigeroff and Richards suggest an endowment model similar to the Alaska Permanent Fund, noting that... funny they mentioned the Alaska Permanent Fund. I think the Alaska Permanent Fund is not going to be around for much longer, because if you don't know what the Alaska Permanent Fund is, it's this thing where part of oil revenue goes into a whatever, like a state account or whatever. It goes into the Alaska Permanent Fund, which then distributes a dividend every year to stimulate the economy, TM, and it's supposed to be to help Alaska's economy be more self-sufficient once oil dries up or something, supposedly. Anyway, in recent years there have been some politicians, some mayors slash governors, no, it's governors, that are like, if you elect me, or you can get a bigger PFD dividend. And then so this year we're gonna have the largest dividend that we've ever had, but it's gonna be taking a much larger chunk out of the actual fund, or what is it? The actual funds in the PFD are a lot lower than they've ever been. And yet we're taking a big fat juicy slurps out of it, so it's probably not going to be around for much longer. Usually it was somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500, and then when we got oh yeah, it was the amount the dividend was like based on the oil revenue for that year. So in some years you'd get like 2,000, and then in recent years they were like reducing the amount of the dividend because they wanted to keep the amount of money in this account like healthy. And then Joe McBob is like, wow, you're upset you didn't get a big dividend, right? Well, you elect me and I'll get you a fat stack of dosh. And then all the and then people like money, so they're like, oh yeah, okay. And then he goes in there and scoops the money out, and we so we're gonna get a dividend of like $3,500 this year. Anyway, so I don't think they call it Alaska Permanent Fund, but it won't be so permanent, I guess. Wow. Okay. Suggest an endowment model similar to the Alaska Permanent Fund, noting that operating business models are inconsistent with the very long-term life cycle of cultures. Endowment models are more consistent in terms of risk and longevity, and are equally, if not more consistent, in terms of immediate cultural impact. ANCSA made provisions for the establishment of settlement trusts. Made provisions for the establishment of settlement trusts as part of the 1991 amendments, but there was not a lot of interest until the 2017 Tax Act opened the possibility of using them to reduce tax liability. Since then, some ANCs and ANVCs have encouraged shareholders to vote for their establishment. Sniggeroff and Richards note that settlement trusts will need to be used for more than the pass-through of corporate profits for tax purposes. They are to survive into the future as a support for cultural continuity and shareholder economic well-being. Wow, do I? Okay, I don't have to say that guy's name again. Wow. Benefit corporations. Did an ANC change its corporate structure to allow it to better support cultural continuity? In 2016, William Robinson discussed the possibility of the Benefit Corporation or B Corp model for ANCs. Proposed legislation to allow Alaska businesses to incorporate as B Corps in 2017 did not move forward, but there is interest in the state, and it is likely that Alaska will eventually join the majority of states that already have similar statutes. If we do, then this option will be available to shareholders if they decided to choose that route. B Corps continue to operate businesses for profit, but are also legally obligated to consider how their activities will benefit the public. I don't really know much about B Corps, but I feel like this is probably just a thing that's on paper, and they probably function pretty similarly to a normal corporation. A B Corp could, for instance, do more to help Native communities maintain their subsistence lifestyles, or providing, it's like that shit like green capitalism or shareholder capitalism or whatever. A B Corp could, for instance, do more to help Native communities maintain their subsistence lifestyles, or provide funding to tribes to build infrastructure in a community where not all the residents were shareholders. If Alaska enacts a benefit corporation statute, this would provide ANC and ANVC shareholders with an alternative legal entity to consider. We should note that ANCSA already includes language that allows an ANC to lean toward what a B Corp might provide should they wish to do so. R. Benefits for shareholders or immediate families. The authority of a Native corporation to provide benefits to its shareholders who are natives or descendants of natives, or to its shareholders' immediate family members who are natives or descendants of natives, to promote the health, education, or welfare of such shareholders or family members is expressly authorized and confirmed. Eligibility for such benefits need not be based on share ownership in the Native corporation, and such benefits may be provided on a basis other than pro rata based on share ownership. Crunch. Change to B Corp structure could not take place without a majority of shareholders voting for it, and it would require significant education effort in advance of that vote. Conclusion of these nuts. Conclusion. Yes, the ANCs are doing very well in the business world. They're making great contributions to the state, state. Well, the state doesn't need that shit. I mean, they're making great contributions to the state, paying dividends to shareholders, supporting scholarships. Oh, yeah, they say paying dividends to shareholders, and if you missed it earlier, or not earlier, if you missed the ANCSA thing, shareholders is like 25% or less of the total. No, it's way less. It's like less than 10% of the actual total native population in Alaska, because a lot of natives aren't actually shareholders. So here, paying dividends to shareholders, supporting scholarships and other forms of philanthropy, and providing funds to the various nonprofit organizations. They are employing Alaskans, both shareholders and non-shareholders. In these areas, ANCSA continues to be a success. As noted in the GAO report for 2011, the regional corporations provide a wide variety of benefits to their shareholders and other Alaska Natives. Under the Settlement Act, the corporations are authorized to provide benefits to promote the health, education, or welfare of shareholders and other Alaska Natives, but they are not required to do so. In some cases, ANCs and ANVCs are doing these things in ways that are not obvious to all. There is more to life than money. Social conditions in many of Alaska's native communities continue to be substandard. Alaska's tribal governments struggle without a land base and are overly dependent on federal funding. Communities lack proper law enforcement. There are continuing questions about the future of younger Alaska Natives who are not shareholders and how they will participate in the settlement in the future. ANCSA was not designed to last forever in its current form, and it is now time for young shareholders and tribal citizens, who are sometimes but not always the same people, to come together and decide what they want for the future and how to achieve it. Oh, hello, Cackle Crash. Welcome to homework. Homework? Question mark? I guess so. Oh, I still have this open. Hold on, I think I had another source that I wanted to use that I closed it. Or actually, I had like a decent amount. Whoops. It searched it instead of going to the thing. Oh, this was just someone writing to Bill Walker or something. I think the other thing I was thinking of that I wanted to use as a source was like yeah, it was one of these ones that's like an article and not a not like a paper. You know, they're a little bit easier to digest. They're not full of whatever. I don't think this has like sources at the end though. It does have links stuff. Representative Don Young, oh my god. Oh, I can't click on these. Is this a like yeah. You can't even like click on the text. I would have to like type this in. Hold on. Oh, I see. It was saved to tananachiefs.org and they like saved to the page as a PDF or something. Type in the URL there. Here's like the actual article. Let me check, make sure this is the same thing. Yeah. And it's got the pictures fucked up. I don't know if this had actually had the images in it. No. Okay. ICT, oh, the URLs. Oh, okay, I see. Indian Country Today. It changed to ICT News. It used to be... Yeah, it used to be the full thing. Okay. How old is this article? Does it say? Photo 2021? I don't know. Follow her on Twitter. Oh my god. This is a village here. Along Stevens Village along the Yukon River. What is that, like 20 houses? Can only get there by airplane. Well, I mean, technically, I guess you could take a boat, but that would be way too long. So they just say airplane. Caption is talking about talking about domestic abuse and how when it's in the middle of fuck nowhere, it's hard to police it. Think. No, oh my god, words? That's a lot of words. But yeah, thankfully that's another. Alright, I opened up. His posts are protected. Where? Okay. I guess we can't follow him on Twitter. Oh right, this was the one that was written by someone with the last name Smitty. Kinda fucked up. Responding to Professor Janda, the US experience. ANCSA, the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, Regional Corporation as a form of social enterprise. Sounds similar to what one of the other ones said. It's got an asterisk and a cross next to the name Smitty. Who knows why? No, oh, it's because of this. Talking about shooting eye lasers, probably. No. Horrible. Richard, you know. This was, in this thingy, I think they were comparing to Canada. Or at least part of it. I only read like the first 2 pages. Talking about how Professor Janda based his discussion on the structure and governance of the Makivik Corporation of Northern Canada. Hybrid organization. A thing. Was a response to someone else. Probably take notes on thing. I'm a note-taking hater. Probably could have scribbled some more stuff or like wrote some more stuff down for that other one though. Let's see, this one was Jenny Bell Jones. This doesn't really have page numbers, so I guess Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Meow. Meow. Gimme Carter. He'd cart my jimmies until I, well. I click it and it doesn't do anything? Well, I gotta actually scroll down. Fucked up, honestly. Number 6. Hawaii State Constitution, Article 12. Traditional and Customary Rights, Section 7. Hawaii.gov? Where? Hawaiian Affairs? Something something occupation? Okay. Well, multiple lines of thing for notes. I'm gonna have to put little dashes to indicate. Nice. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that. Fucked up. It was originally made for assimilation. Da da da. Canada. Oh, the thing about the enrollment. Scuttling around discussing home things with others, so you'll be late here for a bit? Oh, okay. I was probably gonna actually, raid into Banao in a bit or something. Yeah, I already wrote this a little bit here. Tribal government submitted from Angst. Maybe we'll write another note again. The omission of provisions for governance. Provide provisions on self-governance or tribal governance. Tribal governance / self-determination. Self-determinatina. What is actually property rights set. This bit here, I'm not, I think alienation is the thing they're talking about, where whoever owns the land sometime down the line may not have any connection to their nativeness, and then they're just like, yeah, sell that shit, and then I don't know, some white guy buys it, and then, but I'm not sure what they mean. I don't know what Indian country means. Just copy this entire snippet. And I'll look at it. I'll look at it later. Subsist on my ants until I in my pants. Yeah. Indian country, hard to define. Look it up, explodes and dies. Oh, I guess that should be capitalized. Capitalized and no, okay. This needs to be so what is it? We had the possibility of either doing a presentation or a paper, and I chose to do a paper because I didn't want to talk in front of fellas, and I wanted to like make sure I gave this topic enough coverage. I don't know if I'm gonna write 8 pages about a thing though. Maybe I'll just explode. Possible. proportional. Pro rata. They split that dollar into pieces. They katana sliced him. Okay. I think I'll go ahead and raid Hanao. Now? Oh, yeah, okay. Let me pull this over here. Oh, he's drawing Hollow Knight thing. There was someone else that I saw a little stream ping go, and I don't see him stream that often, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll raid him, but it looks like he's doing VR chat instead of art, and I'd rather raid into art, so, well, yeah, I'm still gonna be working on this after I raid. I'm definitely not gonna just fuck around and do other things and waste time that could be used to ensure good grades or whatever. Wow. Might fuck around a little bit, but I'll probably still work on this some more tonight. Here. Let me pull this over here again. Where? Bug. Drawing bug. Bug. Oh my god. Oops. Oh, hello, Sussy. I'm raiding out. Going to the Hanao's location. Come to here, but we're going to there. Yeah. Alright. Have a good evening or something. Yama mia. We are time for some additional words before the lasers go. Additional words? Actually, I don't have any. This character is supposed to look kind of androgynous, but they have boob. A little bit fucked up. Didn't get to finish my thought. Okay.